Hi guys, my name is Ai and I'm an international student in Canada from the Philippines. I make videos about my application process on how I got here as an international student and I also want to share some of my life experiences here in Canada. I get a lot of questions and comments in my other videos about the timings on when I received my letter of acceptance, when I took my biometrics or my medical until I got my visa approval and when I flew to Canada. So I decided to make a whole video about that. And also in today's video, I'm going to try something different and talk in Taglish. I'm also gonna try to just focus on the timeline. I will not be speaking in details about each of the documents, like their cost and how to fill them up, but I'm gonna try to make another video for that because it's gonna take a long time to go through all of those documents. Also, just a disclaimer, I am not an expert when it comes to application of international student here in Canada. All the contents that I share in this channel are just based from my experience, and please take all the information with a grain of salt. All right, let's begin. Okay, so nagsimula yung plano ko to become an international student way back in January 2020. And I was originally planning to study in New Zealand because I know a couple of people na nag-aral in New Zealand and it's closer to the Philippines and sobrang ganda talaga ng New Zealand if you look at the pictures. So I was really inclined to go there. I went to an agency who could help me file my application to become an international student in New Zealand. So they profiled me, checked my documents, checked my background, and they gave me a list of school na pwede kong applyan and also list of programs. The very first thing that they told me to do is to get my English test. And they referred me to PTE or Pearson Test of English because they said that it's easier. So I booked my schedule for an English test with PTE and I got my schedule for March 14, 2020. So in between those weeks, nag-review ako on how the exam will flow. There are practice tests na makukuha mo online so you can work on that to prepare yourself for the English test. So we all know what happened in March 2020. March 13, there was an announcement from the President of the Philippines that there will be a nationwide lockdown in the Philippines. It was the day before my English test. So my English test was scheduled March 14. Gulong-gulo ako that time kasi hindi ko alam kung matutuloy pa ba yung English test ko. It's not lockdown yet. The lockdown will start on March 16, the Monday following. Pero everyone was like cramming. Hindi nila alam kung anong gagawin nila because no one has seen a lockdown situation before for the longest time. So, yung mga business nun, yung mga tao, they're panic buying, di nila alam kung ano gagawin nila sa business nila. They're converting everyone to work remotely in a snap. So, sobrang gulo at that time. So, since wala naman ako na-receive na notification from PTE na makakancel yung exam ko, I still went there on March 14 and took my exam. And then, lockdown happened in the Philippines March 16. Nagsarado lahat. I was working remotely that time, but also nagsara yung border ng New Zealand. So, even if I get my result in English test right away, I can't move forward with my application kasi walang nakakapunta sa New Zealand at that time. So, I said, okay, maybe I'll just wait for a few months and then itutuloy ko pa rin yung application ko. Buo pa rin yung loob ko to become an international student at that time. I got the Pearson Test of English result March 24. So, just 10 calendar days from the date that I took it. But then yun nga, hindi ako makatuloy sa application ko. So I just waited and waited. Until natapos yung buong 2020, hindi nag-move forward yung application ko because the borders remained closed. So, yung English test is usually only good for 2 years. And tumatakbo na yung months nung English test ko and I'm still not going anywhere. And I don't wanna take it again or I don't wanna repeat the English test just to start my process all over again. So, by January 2021, I was already starting to think kung ano ba yung pwede kong gawin. And then, I saw a post from isa sa mga kilalang student assistance office in the Philippines. And I saw na they're continuously sending students to Canada. So that got me the idea on maybe I wasn't meant to go to New Zealand. Maybe I was meant to go to Canada. So I started researching for the schools that I can apply, the program that I can take, and I'm also reading the steps on how to apply for a student visa in Canada. And I thought that it's something that I can do. I don't need help from any agency or student assistance. So I decided na i-DIY ko yung application ko. March 14, 2021, I applied for project management program at Conestoga College. It took about 2 weeks for me to get the acceptance letter. So I got my acceptance letter in March 31, 2021. And then as soon as I got my acceptance letter, sinimulan ko ng kumpletuhin yung ibang documents na time sensitive because there are documents na kailangan up to date siya, like bank certificates, NBI, medical. So hindi mo siya pwedeng kunin in advance. So for my medical, I did upfront. Meaning, wala pa yung request from IRCC pero nagpunta na ako sa St. Luke's to get my medical from them. I took it last April 15. So when you go to St. Luke's, make sure na you have an appointment with them and also that you come really early. So I went there around 6 a.m. and it probably took me 2 hours to complete the whole procedure. And for my NBI clearance, just a short story about how I got my NBI clearance. Initially, I got my NBI clearance in late 2020 because during that time I was still planning to go to New Zealand. But then I switched to Canada na. So I had to renew it because in visa application sa Canada, kailangan 3 months lang from the release date yung NBI clearance mo para valid siya when you submit it. So it should be one of the last documents na ipaprocess mo kasi very short yung time niya. And during that time, di makasagsagan ng lockdown na every 2 weeks nagbabago yung lockdown protocol, kung sino yung pwedeng lumabas, ano yung business na pwedeng open. And even government offices nun, yung schedule nila is very unpredictable and also kung magbukas man sila, sobrang haba nung pila. So hindi ko talaga alam kung ano yung gagawin ko at that time and wala ring makapagsabi sa akin dahil nangangapa lahat ng tao. So fortunately, nakakuha ako ng NBI late 2020. So meron pa akong valid NBI at that time. Kailangan ko lang siyang i-renew. So what I did is I request a renewal online and then I opted for pick-up doon sa main building nila. After my medical with St. Luke's on that same day, since malapit lang naman siya sa Ermita, pumunta ako diretso kay NBI just to try my luck. Even though di ko talaga alam kung ano yung ine-expect ko. And totoo nga, nung pagdating ko doon, ang haba ng pila sa labas. As in, I prepared myself na baka abutin ako hanggang hapon dito. Pero I'm willing to do that para lang matapos ko na lahat ng requirements ko. So, I approached a security guard and asked kung saan ako dapat pipila. I showed him yung receipt and yung confirmation na I renewed my NBI clearance and I'm here to pick it up. And I was surprised when he told me na pwede na akong pumasok and diretso na sa releasing and I can get my renewal na. So syempre dumiretso na ako sa loob. Pumunta na ako agad dun sa releasing area and I just showed them the barcode nung pag-renew and binigay na nila sa akin yung NBI ko same day. So parang nung time na yon, sobrang relieved ko kasi I was expecting the worst pero nag-align lahat nung pangyayari sa akin and I was able to get my NBI clearance swiftly. So since kumpleto ko na halos lahat ng documents ko in lodging my student visa application, I decided to lodge my application last April 18, 2021. Even though I'm still waiting for my updated medical, pwede ko naman kasi siyang i-follow up na lang sa mga documents ko. So nag-lodge na ako para tumatakbo na yung processing nung visa ko. And then later that day or at least the following day, naka-receive na ako ng request for biometrics. So that's the next step. After you lodge your application, you will get confirmation from IRCC that they receive your application and then right after, you will receive the instructions to get your biometrics. So syempre, hindi ko na pinatagal. Nag-book na ako agad ng schedule for biometrics. I went to the website of VFS. So, doon kayo magre-request ng schedule for you to do your biometrics. So, I scheduled mine last April 21, 2021. The processing is fairly fast and efficient. So I just finished mine in less than 15 or 20 minutes. And then since it has been more than a week na and I haven't heard from St. Luke's about my updated medical record, so I sent them a follow-up via email and then nag-respond naman sila immediately. I think within 24 hours. They have forwarded the updated medical to me and according to the email that they sent me, they've also forwarded it to IRCC. Pero sinubmit ko pa rin siya on my end. So I emailed IRCC and also created a web form for my updated medical which I submitted last April 24, 2021. So eto na nga yung waiting game. After mo masubmit yung biometric and yung medical, eto na yung portion na nakakapraning. I tried the practice of some na nagfo-follow up sila through email and also through web form. So I did that last May 7, 2021. Wala naman ako nakuhang response from them or even acknowledgement. So hindi na ako nag-follow up ulit. I decided na yung pag-check ng GCK daily is not helping me. It will send you notification naman on your email if there are updates on your application. So, you'll know when you need to log in. So, I decided na ihinto ko na yung pag-check daily and then just leave everything to God. And then, one morning, I went to the bank to pay my first term tuition. And then, nung pauwi na ako, I remember I was with my mom. Nakasakay kami sa jeep noon. Pauwi na kami sa bahay. And then, I saw na merong do not reply email sa account ko. So, I got really anxious because I know for a fact na yung next update nung application ko will be the decision of my visa. And at the same time, hindi ko siya ma-check sa phone ko. I don't register for data because I was working remotely and I'm always at home. So, nung time na yun, I really can't do anything but just to wait until I get home. So, I was anxious and hindi na ako mapakali yung from ride to the mall going home. Talagang sobrang hindi na ako mapanatag. And as soon as I get home, I fired my laptop and logged into my GCK account. And then I saw that I got the approval to study here in Canada. And that was June 3rd, 2021. So from the moment I submitted my visa application, it took about 6.5 weeks or 46 days to get my visa approval. And on that same day, I filed my 30 days notice to my current employer. And then yon, nung nakuha ko na approval ko, I started processing to get my passport stamp. I have another video that explained in details kung ano yung procedure, ano yung payment on the passport stamping. So I will link it somewhere here if you want to watch that video too. June 11th, I booked my flight to Canada. Hindi ko na siya pinatagal because I know that as I get closer to my travel date, mas magmamahal yung ticket. So I wanted to book it as early as I can and also want to get good deals doon sa flight. I rendered my last day of work in my previous job last July 2nd, 2021. So I have like a good 6 weeks in order to settle all my personal accounts. August 8, 2021 was another big day for me. It was my flight to Canada and I arrived in Canada last August 9, 2021. And there you have my timeline. I hope I was able to answer all your questions with regard to the timings of the milestone of my application. And I just want to shout out my mom. Hi Ma, I know you're watching. So again, thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. I hope you found this information helpful and I'll see you again on my next video. Bye!
Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes.